Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hey, what's up? My name is Caitlin, and today I'm going to be showing you how to do this very vampy, sultry prom look. I am by no means a makeup artist, obviously, but I feel like for a beginner or someone in high school who's just playing around with makeup and wanted to do their own prom makeup, then you could definitely try this look. And I feel like it's pretty simple and I like it, so hopefully you guys like it. And if you want to see this final look, then just keep watching. Okay, so jumping right in with primer, we're going to be using the e.l.f. Poreless Face Primer. This is one of my absolute favorite primers, and it's $6 at the drugstore, so that's awesome. And I just put that in the T-zone on my, under my eyes and on my nose. You can do the whole T-zone if you want, but I just put it where my pores are pretty large, which is, of course, my nose and this area. You can totally see, can you see that scratch right there? My cat scratched me last night, so I'm going to have a lovely cut under my nose for the next few days, which is awesome. Okay, so for foundation, actually before we do foundation, we're going to put some chapstick on. This is the Wet n Wild Gel Lip Balm in the shade Kiss, which is just the clear one. I always recommend doing some moisturizer and chapstick at the beginning of every video. I did do my moisturizer off camera just because it's not drugstore, so yeah. Now for foundation, we're going to be going in with the Milani Conceal and Perfect 2-in-1 foundation. This is in the shade 00A Porcelain because I'm fair. I like this foundation because it is a very full coverage foundation. You can probably shear it out if you use a wet beauty blender or something, but I'm going to be using this this brush, and I just kind of dab it on. I usually do about a pump and a half and just swipe it on my face. But it is very full coverage and it lasts all day, so that's going to be good when you're dancing around at prom all night. But yeah, if you have super dry skin like I do, I would recommend using something hydrating with it, like a hydrating primer or a hydrating moisturizer, which is what I did, just because it is a heavier foundation, so it can be drier. Another good foundation is the e.l.f. HD, I think. Yeah, the e.l.f. HD foundation. This is my favorite drugstore foundation, but currently out of it, so we're going to be using this one. I really need to get some more of that one. That one is definitely better for dry skin, but not quite as full coverage. So, however you want to go there, if you want more of a full coverage, or if you want one that's going to last, or not last longer, but not be as drying on your skin, which this isn't going to look dry, but it's definitely going to make your skin feel dry at the end of the day after you take it off if you do have dry skin. If you have oily skin, this will be your best friend, but I still like it even though I do have dry skin, so it's definitely a good foundation, and it's definitely very full coverage. I do have a little bit of redness there that we're going to add just a tiny bit more to, just to cover that up, which you can do color correcting too if you want for that, but this works just as well. Okay, for concealer, I'm going to be taking the Wet n Wild Mega Stick Conceal in the shade 807 Follow Your Bisque. I'm not going to lie, this is not my favorite concealer, and honestly it's probably a little too dark for me, but this is the only drugstore concealer I own, so for the sake of this video we're going to work with it. Yeah, it's a little too dark for me, but it'll work. It's just not going to be very highlighting, but we're still going to put it in the spots that we would highlight. It's not a bad concealer by any means, it's just too dark for me, but it'll work. It's just this color of my skin tone, so it's not going to do much highlighting, which is what I want it to do, so we'll make it work though. It'll be alright. Just blending that in all over the skin. And I am using a Bare Minerals palette, but I'm only using it for the mirror, so it's because none of the palettes that I have down here have mirrors in them, and I do really like this mirror. Okay, for powder, I'm going to be taking this Pure Sponge, and we're going to be using the e.l.f. HD High Definition Powder. and we're going to bake with that. My hair is looking crazy. I used a new dry shampoo today because I didn't wash my hair today and I needed a dry shampoo, and I am not a fan of this one. Also, none of my e.l.f. powder is coming out. Tell me I'm out, that would suck. There we go. So I paused the camera to dump more of that out and totally forgot to hit play. So I already baked off camera, but this is what it looks like. You just bake in the spots that you put concealer down. So I just took the sponge and just pressed it into the skin lightly, and then we're going to let that set for a moment, and then we will adjust it away. So I'm going to go ahead and do my brows while we're waiting. And for my brows, I'm actually going to be using an eyeshadow, which looks like that. This is the Wet n Wild All Natural Bare Necessities palette, and we'll be using this brown shade right here for my brows. A little bit nervous because honestly, I've never used this as a brow powder, so we'll see how this works. And I'm just going to be using my Brow Gal brush that I always use. Just dip that in a little bit, and starting at the bottom. Yeah, this is going to pull a little bit more red than I normally do, but that's okay because my hair is a little bit red right now. Creating that brow shape. I just always do a line on the bottom of my brow, creating the shape, and then I do the same up top, but I do the top in like smaller sections just because I don't want it to look as harsh on the top as it does on the bottom. And then I just fill in from there the spots that are more sparse. There you go. And then we will do the front of the brow. Just connecting the top and the bottom together and still making it look kind of natural. Then we'll brush it out to disperse the product more and see where we still need to add more. I feel like I need a little bit more here and a little bit more here maybe. Go ahead and do that real quick. Alright, there's my brow. I'm going to go ahead and do the other one off camera real quick just to save some time. Okay, to set the brows, we're going to be using the Milani Brow Shaping Clear Gel. This stuff is amazing. It locks the brows in place all night long, which is definitely something you're going to need at prom. So I'm just going to brush that through real quick like that. And there we go. Brows are done. I swear I'm that meme, like, you know, the eyeliner meme where you just keep adding more wing liner. I swear that's how I am with my brows, and I just keep adding more. So they might look a little crazy right now. That's okay. Now we're going to contour the face after we brush away this bake, which we're going to use this powder brush to do so. Just going to swipe it away and kind of like pull it down the face to get the places that we didn't actually bake with and kind of add some powder to those places. Forehead. And bring it around the temples. Okay. There we go. Now we're going to contour. And I'm going to be using the Wet n Wild Contouring Palette Contour in the shade Dulce de Leche. And I'm not going to lie, I honestly can't remember how much I liked this, but we're going to use the contour shade. It does pull a little warm if I remember correctly, so we're definitely going to use a light hand. We're just going to do a little dip in there. It's very, very powdery, like just that one little dip did all of that kickback. So be very light-handed with this product, and if you need more, you can definitely build it up. Just don't go in too heavy at first. We're going to contour the cheekbones. Okay, there we go. Yeah, see, that's pretty intense. I like to kind of like put down a straight line and then kind of take the brush and kind of go in circular motions pulling up, because I feel like it gives it like not quite a structured look, but it still gives that contour shape and it just looks more natural, I think. It kind of gives like the airbrushed effect almost. And I usually go about into the eye, where the end of my eye is where I stop the line. Do under the chin as well. And I just follow my natural jaw with that. Going clear to the chin. And then we'll do the other side. Under the chin. Same on this cheek, we'll start right in the hollow and go clear to the eye. Put that line down and then kind of circular motions out. Get it a little bit more for this side. This definitely pulls a little more warm, but that's okay. Especially for the look we're going for today. Now we're going to do the forehead, and I just pull my hair back and put it right in the hairline. Like you want it to blend from your face to your hairline because you want it to look natural. So you do, if you get it in your hair, that's okay. If you're blonde, you might want to try to like avoid the actual root and just get it like right at the scalp and not in the actual hair root. But if you have dark hair like me, then it's fine. Get it in there, because see how I am so much fairer right there that I want it right there to really blend the look of it to my forehead to make it look like it's natural and not makeup. Plus, most of my hair is going to cover it anyway, so that's alright. And we will bring it down the temples and connect it with the sides. There is our contour. We're going to go ahead and do nose contour. I use the same brush. I know a lot of people use a smaller brush, but I'm lazy. And I'm just going to run it down the side of my nose on the right side first. And then I do the left side. Picking up just a little bit more product. Tapping off the excess. And I like to blend it into the eye, like into my brow. So I take this little curve right here and just blend it in there to make it look more natural. And then we will of course contour the tip of my nose like that. And then I like to contour underneath my bottom lip and on the sides of the chin. Contouring under the bottom of your lip just makes your lips look bigger and fuller. It's a great tip to highlight the cupid's bow and contour under the lip. Okay, contouring is done. Now we're going to be doing bronzer, and this is my favorite bronzer of all time, drugstore or high-end, and that is the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. Yes, mine is broken. Yes, I know that I can press it back in, but I'm not going to, simply because I'm terrified it's going to lose its scent, which is one of my favorite things about it. If you didn't know, it smells like coconuts. I'm going to be using the Wet n Wild Kabuki brush, and we're just dabbing that in there, tapping off the excess, which there isn't much, but that's okay. And I'm kind of messy with my bronzer, so I'm going to start where the contour is and just kind of go all over the place right here. Just because bronzer is meant to make your skin look sun-kissed, and the sun doesn't just take like a line and be like, okay, this is where we're going to bronze you. So I don't feel like bronzer should be that precise. Just kind of bronze up the areas where the sun would naturally hit you and go with it. Of course, we'll pull it down the neck just a little bit, not terribly much. And we'll do the forehead with this also. I love this brush because it's so big that it makes it so it's kind of impossible to be precise, but it still like distributes the product evenly so you don't have like splotches and all that. So this is a great brush and very affordable. I think it was like $5. Alright, bronzer is done. Now for blush, we're going to be using the Milani powder blush in the shade Romantic Rose 01. Looks like this beautiful flower embossment there. And I'm just going to take a blush brush and get a little bit on there. When it comes to blush, I like to start light and build up. And I just start on the apples of my cheek and then pull it back. distributing most of the product to the apple and then taking the excess to pull back. Just because of my face shape. If you have a different face shape, you can do your blush however you want, but this is what I feel like works best for my face shape. You guys, glad I didn't do a prom hair tutorial because that would be a disaster. Alright, same on the other side. Starting at the apple and pulling it back. I missed a little bit of powder right there, so let's dust that away real quick. My finger. And I really like this blush because it is definitely a buildable blush, but it doesn't come off like crazy pigment right away, which are my favorite blushes to use. Alright, there's blush. Now moving on to the eyes. Where's my eye primer? Okay. Normally I would just use concealer as eye primer, but I don't really want to put that other concealer on my eyes, so I'm going to use an eyeshadow primer. This is by Milani, and it's the Lightweight Invisible Finish Works on All Skin Tones primer, and this is an amazing primer for drugstore or high-end. I just take a very minimal amount, like that much, for both eyes. And I just use my finger to do this, but you can use a brush if you want. And I just dab it on both eyes and rub it in. See, that's why I don't want to use this concealer, because I do have concealer on my eyes already, and it is creasing a little bit in the eye because we didn't set it with powder. So we're just going to add some eyeshadow primer and make it work. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and set that really quick. I'm going to be using these Wet n Wild Au Naturel palettes. I have Nude Awakening and Bare Necessities, which is what we used for our eyebrows. From the Nude Awakening palette, I'm going to take that Bone White matte shade just on a flat brush. You don't have to be precise with this at all because we're going to cover it with other shadows. I'm just going to use that to set the eye. So I'm just going to take it and run it along the lid and bring it all the way up to the brow bone. Like that. You can't really see much color, but that's okay. If you do have a deeper skin tone, you can of course use something other than a white so you can match your skin tone. Just whatever shade matches your skin tone as close as you can get. That's a matte shade. That's what you want to use. So mine of course is the palest shade they make. Alright, so going in, we're going to start with the let's start with the Bare Necessities palette, because that's what I'm going to be using mostly anyway. I'm going to take this like suede brown color on a fluffy brush, and that is going to be my transition shade. Just going to get in there, tap off the excess, I'm dropping things, and we're just going to go right in the crease with that. So pretty. This for a $5, or how much is this? Somewhere between $5 and $10 for this palette at the drugstore. This is amazing quality. I really love these palettes. I like their new, like they used to be 6 shadows and now they're 8 or whatever, like the Comfort Zone and all those. I like those too, but I just feel like these perform better in my opinion. So these are what I usually stick to, are the Au Naturel palettes. But seriously, that transition shade is beautiful. It does have a little bit of fallout, so if you want to do your eyes first, that's totally fine, but fallout doesn't really bother me because I feel like most of the time, unless it's like a bright blue shade or something, you can just wipe it away with a brush and be fine. So this is how we're going to start, just like that. Now moving on, we're just going to go straight into the lid. This is the only products that I'm using that aren't technically drugstore, but they are drugstore prices, and they're from ColourPop, and I'm going to be using the shades Kathleen Lights and Blaze on my eyes. Starting with Kathleen Lights, we're going to take a flat brush. This is a concealer brush. I use it for eyeshadow. And we're just going to put a generous amount of that on this brush and spritz it with some setting spray. This is the Hard Candy Glow Sheer Envy Illuminating Setting Spray. I prefer to use an illuminating one just for the fact that it's illuminating, but you can use water, you can use whatever you have for this. It doesn't have to be illuminating, and it doesn't even have to be a setting spray. It can be plain old water if you want. And then we're going to just take that from the inner corner and go about 1/3 of the way in. You'll also perform better with your fingers, but I want to use a brush because I want to be more precise with it. So, such a beautiful color. So, going about that far in, not too much farther, and we're going up to the crease, but not in the crease. Kind of creating a faux cut crease. You'll see why later. Okay, now same with the other eye. Just getting a generous amount in there. I actually just hit pan in this, which is kind of sad. Spritzing this one too. And we'll do the same over here. Just distributing that product in the inner third. Alright, that should look like that. Now we're going to take the other shade, which is called Blaze, which is just like a deeper gold color. This is kind of more of like a coppery gold, the Kathleen Lights one is. I hit pan, you guys, that's sad. But then there's this one. So, let's grab another flat brush. Let's see here. Where are my flat brushes? Okay, here's one. This is a Wet n Wild one. Why does that keep happening? You know you're pale when it, like, the camera keeps, like, focusing on something else and making you look that white. So, just go ahead and load this brush up as well. And be careful with ColourPop shadows because if you leave them open at all, they can get pretty dry. I did have one happen that way, and I feel like this one might be heading down the same path, but we're gonna make it work. Alright, spraying this as well. And putting that, meeting it from Kathleen Lights and going to about the middle of the eye. Just putting it on the center of the eye and pulling it out a little bit, but we still want to leave that last third open. Should look like that. Okay. Same thing on the other eye. I think I am going to switch brushes in a second after I lay this down over here. Yeah, okay. We're going to take that same first brush we used and just flip it over and use the other side. Just because I feel like this brush does a better job at picking up the product. Okay, that's much better. Spritz that brush again. And put that just over the same spots that we just went in. Make sure you use the right side though, or you're going to have an issue on your hands. Alright, same thing over here. I did get a little bit of fallout because there was more product on my brush than I needed. Alright, take a clean brush and just wipe that away. Alright. So this is what you should have so far. Very pretty. I'm going to add a little bit more right here towards the lash line. There. Alright. Now for the outer corner we're going to be doing a few shades, so bear with me here, but I just really want to get an intense outer corner. So we're going to start with the shade that we used for our brows from the Bare Necessities palette, and just using a fluffy brush, and pick that up and do like a V shape starting at the end of Blaze and then just like winging it out kind of and connecting that to the crease. And then we're going to actually run this in the crease as well a little bit. And we're going to keep picking up more of that product until we get it built up just a little bit. So when you put it in the crease, you're going to go about halfway in, not all the way, just to create that eye shape. It's kind of triangular. You are going to get a little bit of fallout with this shade as well, so make sure to tap off your brush as much as you can. Because these shades are beautiful, but with the Wet n Wild matte shades, you are going to have a bit of fallout, but that's okay. There are definitely high-end palettes that have just as much, if not more, fallout than this. So for the price, that's definitely something I am willing to overlook. So there's that. Now we're going to do the shade from the Au Naturel, what is this one? Nude Awakening, that deep brown shade. I'm not trying to flip you guys off, sorry about that. And we're just going to take the same brush and do the same exact thing that we just did. Going right back over the shade that we used for our brows in the crease and in the outer corner. just to build that up a little bit more. This is definitely going to be a like blown out smoky look, which are of course my favorite to do, especially for something like prom where you want that like dramatic eye look. Okay, now taking a smaller brush that's still fluffy though. I really need to start laying my brushes out ahead of time. Let's go with, no, not that guy. I'm looking for a specific brush and I'm just not finding it, you guys. Okay. We'll use this. This is the Smashbox brush that comes in the Matte Essentials palette. We're using the fluffier side. And we're going to go in with the, actually no, we're going to use the angled side of the brush. And we're going to go in with this matte black from the Nude Awakening palette. The other one has a black, but it's sparkly. So if you want sparkles, you can do that. But I prefer the black. And we're going to start in the outer corner right at the lash line and really deepen up that lash and kind of just flick it out a little bit, creating a faux wing almost. And then we are going to connect it in the outer corner and pull it in a little bit. And you're just going to have to keep going back in with this black over and over and over again until you get where you want. And then we are going to connect it to your lower lash line as well. You guys see what I'm doing, okay? Pulling that in right there, just creating a line, and then connecting the lower lash line as well. Do that again on the lower lash line this time, starting out. Pull it in. We're going about halfway in to where Blaze starts, avoiding Kathleen Light's area, just going to the Blaze area and then kind of blending downwards so it goes into the lash line. And that's that. We're going to do a little bit thicker here, starting at the corner and just pulling it in. There we go. That's what we want to see. Okay. Doing the same on the other eye. We're starting here, make this thick line, and then we're going to do the wing. Connecting the bottom lash line. Pulling that up a little bit to create that wing, and then pulling from the top inwards towards Blaze, and just kind of filling in from there until we get the shape that we want, matching the shape that we already created on the other side. Just like that. And you can, of course, do this with an actual liner if you want, but I prefer to use the eyeshadow for this look just because I don't want it to be as harsh as an eyeliner. I want it to kind of have that softer feel to it, that like blown out, smokier look. There we go. Same over here. Alright. So that is what we have so far. Now let's go ahead and move on to the lower lash line for a moment as soon as we dust away this fallout we have. Just taking a fluffy brush. I feel like the fluffier the better for this. So this is a Pro Precision Tapered brush, not blush. I just feel like the fluffier and longer the bristles, the better, because it just really gets that fallout without it leaving like a color streak behind. Okay, so before we move on to the lower lash line, we're going to go back into that first crease brush and pick up that first crease color we used and just run that a little bit higher than the dark brown that we have in the crease, just to kind of give it that transition look. And then we're going to add a little bit more of Kathleen Lights and a little bit more of Blaze, just so it doesn't get lost in the in all the blending that we did. There we go. I love these shades together, they're so pretty. Okay, that's what you should have so far. Then we're going to take a very small precision brush. I keep saying blush for whatever reasoning. We're going to use this one. This is the Wet n Wild. I don't really want an angled brush. I just want like a, there we go. This Wet n Wild rounded tip one. And we're going to go in with that black, that matte black, just on the very tip of the bristles there. And we're going to create a like cut crease right here. Just following your natural crease. Going right where those, where Kathleen Lights and Blaze meet the crease is where we're going to put this black. And we're going to make it kind of harsh at first and then just keep running over it, and it's going to blow that out more so it's not as harsh. If you do a little bit messy, that's okay. We'll clean it up after. I recommend starting in the middle and then going in and out and slowly bringing your brush out farther each time. Just like that. And if you're not like totally crazy about where your natural crease is, you can of course create a fake crease with this technique. And I'm not doing like super precise, like it's definitely yep, more blown out than it is precise, which is what we want. Is what I want anyway. You can definitely make it more precise if that's what you want, but for this look I want it to be smokier. And that is what we're working with there. And then I'm going to take a little bit more of Kathleen Lights and a little bit more of Blaze again and carve that out some more, which is definitely an easier way to fix your mistakes. Like if you did a little bit too sloppily and you went down a little bit too far, then that's how you can correct it with this. And then for the inner corners, which I did mess up a little bit on purpose, like right there, I wanted to kind of mess it up a little bit so I can show you a way to correct that. We're just going to take that bone white shade that we started with on a fluffy brush and kind of go over it just a little bit. Just like that to brighten that inner corner and then kind of conceal the mistakes that we made a little bit. Or you can always use concealer to fix it if you did start with your eyes instead of your face. I like that. Okay, now lower lash line, we're going to pick up this little guy right here. This is an e.l.f. concealer brush. So tiny for a concealer brush, first off. We're going to start with the very first transition shade that we used and run that along the entire lower lash line. Like that. Okay. Now I am going to put some liner on real quick. And this is the Pixie Endless Silky Eye Pencil in the shade Black Noir. Looks like this. This is the little mini guy. Okay, we're going to put that in the waterline just a little bit. Just to really make this like a smokier look. Kind of making it a little bit messy because we're going to, of course, blend it out. So very messy like that. Like putting it almost more in the lashes than you are the actual waterline. You still want it to be like a straight line, but you know, messy is okay for this look. So now we're going to take just a brush with no makeup on it and run it along that to really like smudge it out. Just like that. Ooh, this one might have been a little bit too much. Okay, but we can work with it still. We're going to clean that up a little bit off camera real quick, just kind of like taking some makeup remover on a brush and wiping that away. But I'll be right back. Okay, now that we got that cleaned up a little bit, we're going to go in with Kathleen Lights on a small angled brush. And do the same thing that we did on the top on the bottom and kind of go over that black with it just a little bit. because we want that black to kind of be like a base almost to really deepen this under eye. Just like that. Same on this side. And you are mimicking what we did on the top. So as far as it goes in the top is as far as you want to go in on the bottom. Do not stab yourself in the eye like I just did, because it does hurt. Alright, another angled brush real quick. If I can find another one. There's one. We're going to take Blaze and do the same thing. Just mimicking what we did on the top, on the lower lash line. So see how like more sultry that makes it look, instead of just doing like the same thing. We're using the black as a base. And then you still have some in the waterline as well. So it just creates a more sultry look. Just like that. Alright, and then for the outer part we're going to use a smaller brush, if I can find one. We use this guy, this is a square one, and we're going to go in with a mixture of these two dark brown shades. Just kind of tapping in both, and we're going to run that in the outer corner over top of the black. Just to make it a little bit less dramatic on the bottom, like that. I'm not going to do too much of a difference, but it's definitely going to clean it up a little bit and make it a little bit less intense. Just like that. Okay. Now let's take a clean fluffy brush and just go over this top again and just fluff everything out real quick. Same on this side, and then we'll do the lower lash line as well, just really kind of going in there and fluffing everything out. Alright, now for the brow bone highlight and inner corner highlight, I am going to take the lightest shade in this palette, that white shade. This is the Bare Necessities one, and we're going to dust that on the highest part of the brow bone. And in the inner corner. So really brighten up that inner corner right there. Alright, let's do lashes. For lashes, I'm going to be using the e.l.f. Lengthening Mascara. It looks like this. I also really like the Wet n Wild Renegade Mascara. That's a beautiful mascara, but I'm currently out of that. So we'll use this one. We're just going to go really close to the lash line. Pull up. You can definitely use a lash curler if you want to. I usually don't curl my lashes, so if you want them to be more dramatic, then definitely curl them. Or you can also always apply falsies. Kiss and Ardell make some beautiful ones at the drugstore, but I don't usually wear false lashes, so I don't own any. Yeah, it looks like that. The bottom lash line as well. This is not like a life-changing mascara, but for $3 at the drugstore, it's a good mascara. I definitely have some that I prefer over this, but not from the drugstore. Except maybe the Lash Renegade one. I do really like that one. This one is definitely really black. It does lengthen, so it does what we need it to do. There's that. Same with this side over here. Dip in another time for this side. This video is going to be like an hour long. I'm sorry, guys. The lash line as well. I really like this mascara for the lower lash line. It is really pretty. Alright. There is the eyes. Now for highlighter, I'm going to be using the Pixie and Aspen Ovard highlighter in the shade London Luster. This is one of my favorite highlights. Picking up a highlighting brush. We're just going to tap in there a couple times, tap it off, and we're going to hit the high points of the cheek real quick. Kind of working it up into the crease. It's definitely a blinding highlight when the camera only wants us to focus on the highlight. Alright, so pretty. Down the tip of the nose and the bridge of the nose. Cupid's bow. Chin. And above the brows on the forehead. Alright. Let's set everything into place with some setting spray. We're going to use the Hard Candy Glow Sheer Envy Illuminating Setting Spray that we use to spritz our brush. Looks like that. Okay. This does have a little bit of an intense spray, so make sure to hold it back. Alright, so here's the fun part, is lips. So with a look like this, you can really get away with pretty much any kind of lip color. You can definitely do a metallic if you wanted to. We're not going to do that today. This is the Liquid Catsuit by Wet n Wild in the shade Satin Sheets. You could do that. You could do just a nude if you want to tone it down. Like if you have like a really dark, deep dress, then I would wear this nude color, which is Nudie Patootie. If you have like a white colored dress or like a nude dress or something, you could do this purple, which is really pretty with this eye look. This is Nice to Fuchsia. You could do this pink if you had like a pastel colored dress, which is Pink Really Hard. Or if you had like a white dress or a black dress, you could go glam and do this red, which this is the NYX Liquid Suede in the shade Kitten Heels. I think I want to do the red today, so that's what we're going to do. These are pretty inexpensive. And I'm going to shut up so I can do my lips now. Oh, such a pretty red. And make sure to get that Cupid's bow. So that is the finished look. I obviously am by no means a makeup artist, which I already said in my intro, but for someone that's like a beginner or something going to prom, I feel like you could definitely tackle this. Yeah, so that's all I have for you guys today. Let me know down below if there's any other videos you want to see me do, like any kind of other looks you want to see, like homecoming or whatever. I know homecoming's a long ways away, but just the idea. But yeah, don't forget to hit that like button down below if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe to my channel before you go. Turn on post notifications so you're notified every time I upload. Bye guys!